Hey guys, how you doing? It's Henry at Motors and Blowers! Good morning. It's Saturday, college football week end, and my Oklahoma versus Tulane game is coming up at 3:30. It's about 10:30 in the morning right now, so I got a few hours to mess with this. You know what this is? This is a Scag Tiger Cub 48 wide commercial landscaping ride-on. This belongs to my neighbor's brother, who had obviously had a conversation with his brother about finding a place to fix his mower, and I had fixed my neighbor's friction disc on his Aaron's snowblower about a year or two ago, and so I guess he said to his brother, oh, well, you know, I got a neighbor who works on this stuff. And so he recommended him to me. So he gave me a call and he said if I could take a look at it, because he tried to bring it to his regular guy that services this, but he's so backed up he won't even look at it for like a week, you know. I mean, I told him I don't work on other people's stuff except for maybe a neighbor. I'm doing a favor for a neighbor's brother. And I'll admit, I've never worked on a Scag commercial landscaping mower like this before. This thing's a beast. It's got like a 23 or 25 or 26 horsepower Kawasaki. And the complaint is you start it up and it doesn't stay running. It runs for like a few seconds and then it stops. Looking at my surveillance cameras when he brought this over, he pulled it out of his enclosed trailer, and it ran for about 10 feet or so, and then it stopped. We couldn't get it started again. So then obviously he must have disengaged the hydro pumps and pushed it to my garage. He thought it was his carburetor, so he bought a new carburetor. And he also thought it was a fuel pump, so he got a fuel pump. It seems like it's the old one, because it smells of gas and it's also old looking. So I don't know if he tried to put in the new one or something like that. Anyway, I'll give you a walk around here. So looking at it from the front, I mean, it's pretty old, pretty beat up. You can see that this obviously has gone through some stuff. You know what I mean? Look at those anti-scalp wheels. That's trashed. These are made of very heavy-duty steel. The blade looks really good, although there's a lot of stuff under it. You could tell this thing has been through a lot. Tires still look good. The air filter is like jigged onto there with some tape. Obviously, there's the carburetor. If I wanted to mess with it, I'd probably have to take this bumper off to get access to it. It says Cub here, although you can tell it's been hit, backed into walls and fences, whatever. And if you take a look here, I noticed this before when I was walking Boba. Look how close this wheel is to the gas tank in the fender. And if you stand back here, right, it almost looks like it's cambered in. As if it's like axles bent, although these probably have individual pumps on separate independent axles, but there is like a camber. I don't know if that's designed that way, kind of in like that. They're not perfectly vertical. Here's the fuel pump, as you can see, and just from looking at it, what do you guys see? It's not even connected to the pulse. Ouch. Damn squirrels hate me. Every day, guys, squirrels are just chucking acorns at me. Every 3 days or so, I gotta use my Red Max and blow it out. Takes a couple of hours. Every 3 days. 2 hours. 2 more trash cans full of acorns. I should put up a sign that says free acorns. Alright, I just connected the pulse. Surely it can't be that easy. It could be that easy. And don't call me Shirley. So this fuel pump doesn't look new either. It also looks worn and old. But somebody's been in there because they loosened the hose clamp off of the pulse. And look, the pulse is not even connected. See what I'm saying? The pulse is not connected, and it was disconnected from the fuel pump. So I don't know what the story is with that. And if you look at the pulse neck, it's cracked. But if you put a hose over there with a clamp, it should be okay. But definitely that can't be replaced. That has to be fixed because this is part of the engine block. The stuff over here looks okay. Everything looks old and stuff and used. But I mean, reason why it's not getting gas is because you didn't have that connected. There's no gas in here, I checked. There's about a half a tank in there, enough for testing. Battery seemed like it was all right. I have no idea what this is. There's stuff in it, but I don't know what it is. It smells like oil or hydro fluid. It's probably for the pumps. Hydro oil. Switching between fuel tanks. That seems kind of complicated. Like, things could happen to it. Easy to break. That belt looks like it's a little damaged. Could use replacing. Don't know what these things were for. Some kind of attachment to something or other. Pretty good caster wheels. You can tell it's been serviced and replaced because this one has tread and this one's like a slick. Here are the directional things where you steer. This thing here to engage the height, I guess. I've never run one of these. Here, that's the lever for the height. The parking brake. How do you do the lever for the height? Because I only see one lever here. There's no foot pedals. All right, you know what? I'll figure it out, but you know what? I'm gonna connect that properly with clamps, hose clamps. We'll see if we get this started. So this is a Kawasaki FH680V, very common V-twin, high horsepower. Yep, that hose line goes right to the gas tank. See, there's a clamp over there that's just slided over there, not attached to anything. It's supposed to be here. Should be one there. Should be one there. Ooh. Holy shit. 4,284 hours. This baby has been through a war and back. That's an old mower. He's lucky that engine hasn't blown. I don't know the history behind it, whether or not it's been replaced or not, but 4,200 hours is a lot. All right, well, I'm gonna get that fuel pump situated, put the hose clamps onto another fuel line or something like that, because that fuel line looked trashy. And just to make sure that that little crack on the input isn't gonna impede anything, and make sure that the fuel line is well over it and then clamped over the crack so that the crack is not going to be an issue. First, I got to change out of my good Oklahoma clothes. Like, you guys got to change into some dirty clothes before you work on stuff. That gives the wife a little bit of a break because you don't have to keep washing your good clothes. Got a brand new line here. The diameter is so much smaller there. See? I got to get another hose that's a wider hole. Okay, I found one of my custom curved ones. I didn't really want to use this one because I need it for something else, I'm sure. But this one has a large diameter hole. And as you can see from the hose clamp, it has compromised this area. So I'm going to cut that part where it's compromised. Okay, as you can see, put a clamp onto this new hose line. It goes into the middle pulse so that now it should be, if this fuel pump works, it should pull fuel from the gas tank, even though this fuel line is stretched pretty well, but it's not kinking, so theoretically it's okay. And it should be delivering fuel. In the video that I watched from him pulling the mower from his trailer into my driveway, it did run on its own for a good 10 feet or so. So maybe the carburetor is not dirty, rather it's just a fuel delivery system that was compromised. If this wasn't connected to this, it's not getting a pulse, which means the fuel pump wasn't working. It was not dragging fuel from the gas tank into the carburetor. So I'm going to try to figure out how to turn this damn thing on and run it and see if it runs on its own for over 10 seconds. Now it's going to crank some because it's a fuel pump. Shit. This is on already. Choke it. Parking brakes. Just figure it out. Yep. Start. Gonna have to get a jumper. The switch was on for hours this morning. Let's just test the battery before we get started because I want to know everything there is to know. It's a Walmart battery and it shows 11 something or other. CCA's is 350. Test. Power too low. So its power is so bad that you can't even test it, but it's going to test anyway just to see. Yep, the battery's dead. It's 20% healthy though, so we're going to have to charge this, but first I'm going to jump it. Get one of my jumper packs out. This one's one of those new lithium kinds, not as big as your typical kind. Don't do what I just did, crisscrossing it like that. Whatever. Alright, doesn't seem like there's any safety switches because I can crank it no problem. Let's see if it starts. Put something down here. Since we can crank it, let's see if the fuel pump is working. We'll disconnect the line going out of the fuel pump and to the carburetor just to see if there's any fuel going in there. Looks like it is. Okay, I'm going to crank it now. Look at that. There's plenty of fuel coming out. It's not the fuel pump. Fuel pump seems to work. It's pulsing and shooting fuel out. Let's Let's blow some jism in there and see if we can help it out a little bit. What a concoction this is. You know, it's just in the way. I'm going to remove it. I'll figure out how to put it back later. But this is jigged. Everything on here is like jigged. There's like zip ties everywhere. Whoever serviced this thing, I wouldn't recommend taking it back to him. Because you bring it to a service guy, man, you're paying good money. You gotta get shit fixed, not fuck shit up. You know what I mean? This is not even the right, it's got like a wood screw in here. Look. Yeah, I mean, you wouldn't have to tape this up to this if you had the screws to mount the bracket on here. Looking inside the carburetor, it's dirty. This is the mouth. Look at all that oil residue in there. Terrible. God knows what's in the carburetor. I bet you the carburetor's dirty. Either way, we're gonna spray it and see if it starts. All right, got another jump starter on here. Not at all. It's possible that it won't start because I wasn't sitting on it. That battery's trash. Jump starters are no good either. Okay, now I have a 6,000 amp jump starter. And I'm not able to sit on it, so I have to just put my foot on these two springs that mimic that I'm sitting on it. Man, why doesn't it even do that? It's as if there's no spark. Wow, that's bad. Yeah, we're gonna have to dig into this more. So I was looking over here. Check this out. There's a loose linkage right here. meaning nothing is going to this throttle. Linkage is sitting right here. I have to figure out where that goes. So I got the linkage back on here. It was the choke flap. That connects onto the choke. Let's try it now. Mow my lawn with it. fellas, I'd call that pretty fixed. So as you saw, I mounted the air filter bracket onto the machine. It didn't have any screws mounting the bracket. And over here, it's been stripped already, so you can't even shove anything in there. But I've got like 2 or 3 out of the 7 in there, so it's held on. Also, there's an input, air input over here that had a sock in it. I mean, how is this air box going to get air if there's a sock in it? You know what I mean? Maybe the sock was covering it as a filter. So I mounted this extra filter that I had lying around for them. Also, I didn't have any more hose clamps, so I used a zip tie, pulled it really tight to keep the air clean. This is really overdoing it. You don't need a radiator type style hose just for air, you know what I mean? But because it does its purpose, but it's a little overkill. Anyway, so we fixed it. I'm gonna call the guy and see if he wants me to replace his anti-scalp wheels. I don't think he does, but we'll see. Yeah, so it looks like we got it fixed. That's a nice engine. For the amount of oil that I see in the air intake, how is it running so well? You could just tell that this engine is running so crisp and clean. It's a really nice engine. Maybe it's a replacement because it, you know, it looks okay. Because it doesn't show that it has 42, it doesn't look like a 4,200 hour engine, you know? So I'm sure it's been replaced. But man, this thing runs great. I love it. You see how fast I was going mowing my lawn? Man, I'd love to have this. Maybe he'll sell it to me. Oh, but you know, I don't buy anything. But anyway, I'll call him up, see if he wants me to replace that anti-scalp wheel, because that anti-scalp wheel is trash. So I just called the owner. I asked him if he wanted me to fix this anti-scalp wheel. I have one in stock, and he's like, yeah, sure, go ahead. So I'm just gonna try to take this off. It's like a slotted bolt here. Well, that's crazy. The amount of torque you were gonna require to have just like that. I mean, you can't even stick anything in there.
That's what she said.
I don't know how I'm gonna grip it. So as you saw, I replaced the anti-scalp wheel with a new one. How much would you guys charge him for that? I was out here for about a couple of hours. It wasn't all that hard. I did put some screws back into that air filter base bracket just to hold it there because it was just dangling. It was holding on by that radiator hose that was going to the intake. But did some troubleshooting, you know, figured out that it was mostly the choke linkage completely fell off. The fuel pump wasn't on the third pulse line, had cracks in the pulse line. I don't know if that all contributed to it, but I'm sure it did, you know, but now runs like a champ, works great. Replaced the anti-scalp wheel and some other small things, you know, nuts and bolts. Anyway, today was a great day because I got to work on a Scag 48 Tiger Cub. This thing's a beast. Let me tell you, it's fantastic. You saw how fast it mowed my lawn, man. I didn't do any time lapse. That was actual time mowing. This thing goes fast. Blades go really quick. That engine's a beast. This thing's great. I love it. I kind of want it. But this one's old. He says he's been using it for 13 years like this, you know. And that is a new motor that he said that he put on there. The 4200 is not indicative of what that engine hours are. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Remember to like, share, and subscribe if you want to continue seeing some small engine content that I provide for you. We'll see you guys next time on Mowers and Blowers. Hey, I'm Andy from Jericho.
See you guys next time on Mowers and Blowers.